Welcome back. We'll be starting the newspaper reviews with The Nation. And there's a lot of, almost the whole page is advertorial. Senator Jimo Ibrahim. We just have it, a title here, in fresh philanthropic gesture, Otedola donates 4 billion for electrical electronics engineering block at Augustine University. I'm sure many of the stories are inside. Yes, what did you take?
I have the Nigerian Railway Corporation suspension. So there was vandalism on the 29th. Sorry, there was vandalism yesterday on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on the train at Agbo, Delta State. And so a train that just resumed operations October 29, just 4 days after, or 3 days safe, after, have to now suspend operations again. So the corporation's managing director, Dr. Kayode Okpoefa, announced this statement, and he let me just read the statement. It said, the management of the Nigerian Railway Corporation wishes to inform the general public that a train derailment incident occurred yesterday, Saturday, at approximately 19:30 hours, involving 2 of the 7 coaches of our Warri Itakpe train service at kilometer, you mentioned it, that's somewhere in Agbo. And the investigation indicates that, or preliminary investigation indicates that the incident may have been caused by suspected vandalism. And we are pleased to confirm that everybody on the train was safe, no casualties or injuries were recorded.
Thank God
and
for
the
that.
recovery team, supported by security personnel, has been on site since then, carrying out recovery operations. But let me leave the remaining for people with the nation to complete. It's just sad, you know. We are here now. Every development, with vandalism and all of that kind of evil that is man-made, human, continue to set us back again. Yeah. Remember when the second Niger bridge was complete and then they saw people plucking out?
Yeah.
It's just
about
sad.
the Third Mainland Bridge.
This train
about
believes
the Kaduna one.
Yes. They keep doing that.
All that.
We the people.
Yep.
It's painful, yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
so they say here in fresh philanthropic gesture, Otedola donates 4 billion naira for electrical electronics engineering block at Augustine University. They say in a fresh act of philanthropy and contribution to education, infrastructure development, billionaire businessman and chairman of First Bank PLC, Mr. Femi Otedola, has announced a 4 billion naira donation for the building of electrical electronics engineering block at the Augustine University, Ilara Ipe, Lagos. They say he is the Chancellor of Augustine University, and he announced this investment and other donations yesterday at the 7th convocation ceremony. He he announced a 10 million naira cash gift to a physically challenged, this is in addition to a physically challenged graduating student from the Department of Philosophy. And this is a student, Emmanuel Olua, who is on a wheelchair. He said the completion of the building was expected by next convocation ceremony in 2026. So because I had read his book, I also understand, you know, the story and his attachment to Augustine. And I remember in the book he had mentioned that the first time they had come to him to ask for money to donate towards building that university, that was when he was in the depth of his financial crisis. And he remembered, because he couldn't help, he went into his room and he cried. And so I can imagine how this must be so fulfilling for him that he's able to you know, make donations to the school. So the school, you know, is doing well. They are graduating their students, and he just had a lot to say. Remind them that the journey does not end here. You begin anew with greater responsibilities to your community, to your nation, just so that we know that when we call out, sometimes we call out these well-to-do people and we say, what do they even do for our country? Sometimes because they don't write it down, or we don't even seek to see what they do. They are actually doing so much.
They are not
personally.
Honorable Oga that had to do a video sharing 500.
Maybe they need to do videos for us.
They do a lot. It's just that we expect them not to have a life. So when we see them enjoying their money, we always like, what are you? You're not even doing anything for the poor, but they actually do, So I have this one, how Nigeria should respond to Trump's action. They said 3 renowned international affairs experts yesterday outlined how Nigeria should respond to United States, that's President Donald Trump, threat to deploy military might in Nigeria over the alleged killing of Christians. They spoke yesterday in different interviews with The Nation. They said just as the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, confirmed that the department was planning for action against Islamic jihadists in Nigeria. So one of them, Professor of International Law, Akin Oyebode, San, he said Trump's remark is misadvised, misdirected, and imperialistic, and is calling on the federal government to put its acts together to do something about it. He also noted that it was a jaundiced view by any country or person to assume only Christians were being killed in Nigeria. According to him as well, he said the maxim for Trump's action is in international law is parem non habet imperium.
That's it.
Meaning a sovereign cannot exercise authority over another. I had this argument yesterday, and I was telling myself, is it possible that you just barge into my country for whatever reason?
Well, if you take yourself to be big brother.
Big brother so he said Trump's action is misadvised, misdirected, imperialistic, because he has got away with his acts against Venezuela. He believes that Nigeria is a small fry and there's nothing we can do, but he's gravely mistaken because Nigeria is a significant member of the international community. This is the world's largest black nation, and he will not even enjoy the support of the African-American community in the US, let alone Nigerians here. Even though he might win the propaganda award to humiliate and embarrass Nigerians, history is on the side of the oppressed. We are the victims of imperialist threats. He now said that does not say that Christians have not been massacred in Nigeria, especially in the Middle Belt. Even Kwara State has suffered some incidents of warfare by rebels. The same thing in the southeastern part of the country. But it's a jaundiced view to say that it's only Christians that have been, victims of genocide. And he says, I think Nigeria is to blame for more than 2 years now because we've not been able to have an ambassador. An ambassador would have been the first person to respond to the president before it gets to this level. Many of them said a lot of things, so I think people should just get it and read. And we'll be taking the topic more later on today. Moving on now to the Daily Sun. Major headline, PDP plots survival strategy. Governors BOT consider caretaker committee option, intensify efforts to resolve crisis. ASU rejects federal government's proposed 35% salary increase for varsity lecturers. Igbo group in US faults Kanu's continued trial. Tinubu's economic reform essential for Nigeria's growth, Governor Bebolo. Rising costs, weak demand squeeze Nigeria's brewers. Zenith Bank posts 917.4 billion profit before tax, earnings hit 3.37 trillion. We'll take a story and do a short break.
Let's quickly take ASU then.
Okay.
Since the NEC, that's the National Executive Council of ASU sat in Abuja, and the report coming out is that the 89 branches of ASU are now have decided not to accept the 35% salary increase offered to them by the government. They insist that there was a prior agreement reached with Professor Nimi Briggs, and they renegotiated that, and that agreement an increase for salaries for lecturers, putting lecturers' salary for senior professors at 1.2 million. And they said that for the government to be proposing less than that, when presently lecturers, even of the VC's cadre, professors in most universities take less than 500,000 monthly. That is not healthy because of things that are happening. And that even the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigeria had recommended that the federal government should do an increase in salary for professors and put it at 800, yet they are doing this 35%. They don't want it. They are naming the price at 1.2 million, which the Nimi Briggs committee had agreed with them, and that's what they want. So they said they only suspended the strike, but they didn't agree on that 35% increase. So they're insisting, they're rejecting it. Government must talk to them, they must do what they want, which is to put it at
1.2 million. Okay, we'll take a short break here. When we come back, the paper reviews continue. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing the papers. We have our stories in the Sun now. Who's ready to go? Yeah. Should I go first? Okay, so I took a story here. Rising costs, weak demand squeeze Nigeria's brewers. So despite a rebound in sales and easing foreign exchange pressures, Nigeria's leading brewers, that's the Nigerian Breweries PLC, International Breweries, and Guinness PLC, they said they continue to face profitable pressures, a fragile consumer demand, surging operation costs, and non-recurring expenses weigh on bottom lines. So they said the industry, long considered one of the most resilient customer goods segments, is feeling the pinch from subdued household spending and cost inflation. While all these brewers reported year-on-year revenue growth in 9 months of the year, their earnings were hampered by restructuring expenses, administrative cost spikes, consumer resistance to sustained price hikes. So many people are really not drinking as much again. Across bars, restaurants, and retailers, consumers have voiced frustration at beer prices and have nearly doubled over the past 2 years. So a bottle of premium lager now costs, is it lager or lager? Between lager, yeah, between 1,200 and 1,500 in many cities, while a pack of Maltina can now cost 2,750 to 3,200. Yes, oh, you've not drank it since, so you don't know. Representing a steep increase that has dampened consumption among middle and low-income drinkers. They said there are concerns as to how the incoming festive season, how the dirty December will December. They said it may not pan out well for companies, restaurants, and retailers. A Lagos-based resident, Adam Tajuddin, who's a barber, said that he has lowered his demand for beer due to the hike in pricing.
Your pastor will be proud.
He said many people who used to buy 2 bottles after work, now they just take 1, or they now are trying to switch to cheaper brands. So it's affecting all businesses.
That cheaper brand is dangerous because of this.
You really don't know.
Illicit and fake drinks are
that are coming out here. But we have to move. Do we have a story in the Sun? Let's move on now to Vanguard. Major headline: Trump, outrage over plan to attack Nigeria. INEC challenges before Amoputan by Jega. Soludo gains momentum in Ekusigo, Newi South. 2027 battle for PDP soul deepens as factions dig in. Zenith Bank records 917.4 billion profit in 9 months as earnings rise to 16%. That's 3.37 trillion. Gas policy under threat as flaring worsens. What do we have in front?
I have that. So Nigeria's ambition to power homes and industries with its abundant gas reserves faces a deepening dilemma following rising gas flaring in the face of worsening electricity supply. So this data from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, it showed that gas flaring increased month on month by 10% to 16.679 million standard cubic feet, and is MMSCF is what's used. This was in September 2025, and then they said that in the 16.679 MMSCF fled in September 25 accounted for 8.72% of the nation's output, while the 15.57 MMSF fled in August 2025 accounted for 6.87% output. So year on year, flaring rose by 7%, which translated into 9-month cumulative total of over 150 MMSF gas worth, which is about $451 million, and which is enough to power a small-scale plant that can generate 10 to 50 megawatts. So this wastage comes even as millions of Nigerians remain in darkness and industries run on diesel at record cost. And they say that at the core of the crisis lies persistent mismatch between gas supply and power demand. So the country produces, quite a number, a significant number of gas monthly as part of it, but a part of it is lost to flaring due to poor infrastructure, inadequate processing capacity, and frequent disruptions in crude production. Then findings, according to Financial Vanguard, shows that a declining crude oil output is also contributing to the gas crisis, as output of associated gas is declining also. In summary here, they said the ambition to become Africa's gas powerhouse, that's for Nigeria, is achievable, but coordination between upstream, midstream power segments remain fragmented. If you read it more, you hear from LCCI, that's the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. They said that it's going to contribute to serious economic risk, that 13% month-on-month decline in gas output was a red flag, and that this is stemming from, according to them, pipeline vandalism, downtime, and supply chain disruptions. And this impacts the thermal power plants, raises generation costs, dampens industrial productivity. Nigeria shifts towards cleaner, cheaper gas-based energy is being undermined because of all this. And then, but as we know, the government had said by 2030, we are going to be an economy that is gas-driven, and they are not going to back down on that. They are going to push for it. So it sounds laudable, but there are so many things happening day in, day out that is showing that this may not be a possibility until all this is sorted.
Sorted out.
Okay, so I have an insight, very sad story. Well done to the Lagos State Police Command, who were able to find this, carry out an investigation into the gruesome murder of a commercial motorcyclist, Afesomu Amos, whose dismembered body was recovered or discovered at Adeodo, Ogun State, a week after he went missing. So he had taken a resident to, he's a resident of Ajara, Vessel in Badagry, and he had taken a passenger from Erekiti to Adeodo. And his brother, Samuel Afesomu, said after he called his wife at 7:30 p.m. saying he was on his way back, but then his phone went off, and the police later recovered the motorcycle from 3 suspects who were trying to sell it.
Oh.
And so they arrested them, and the interrogation led to, linked to to another man, and they started a man hunt. They were able to find that prime suspect at Makoko in Lagos, and they subsequently took detectives to the Iko Gale, Oba, Kobe, Adodo, where they found the dismembered body of the victim, where they had discarded it.
Oh, no.
And, this is just sad. There was other reports in the same story that they found they had another such reported cases. So maybe this is becoming a pattern, but I like the fact that as soon as this was reported, unlike what we think, they investigated and were able to find the bike when they were trying to sell it, which led to finding the dismembered body. This is just a very sad one. I don't know why people do crime. I really don't know.
I really don't understand.
One take bike, you still kill the person, dismember the body. Really.
Thank you, ladies. That's all we can take on the newspaper reviews. When we come back, we'll move on to the topics for today. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.